Hello everybody, this is my recap for episode 3, season 4 of Girls, entitled Female Author. I think this is definitely the best episode we've seen of the 3 so far, definitely the most introspective. I feel like there's always one episode in each season of Girls that really captures the essence of what these characters are going through in terms of that sense of disarray, that sense of confusion, and the lack of direction. I think this one captured that very, very well, even though the theme of the season seems to be that these characters are growing up and they're making great strides towards their future and making more rational, more mature adult decisions. I think that this episode proved that that's a lot easier said than done. We saw a lot of repeat behaviors that we've seen in the past from these characters, and rather than progressing, we're seeing a bit of a regress. And I'm sure that there are complaints from people that watch the show that, they may find it kind of upsetting, or they may get tired of the lack of maybe originality that we're seeing, but I disagree. I found this to be very true to life. Unfortunately, human beings just don't change very easily. They're certainly capable of it, and we've definitely seen it in the past, but oftentimes when we make progress as people, we'll make a little bit of headway, and then we'll just go backwards many steps, and then we'll start to kind of go back, and we just keep going back down. We make so many of the same mistakes over and over and over again before we even see a glimpse of enlightenment and something clicks for us. And it's sad, but it's true. For some people it takes months, other people it takes years, but I saw that in these characters. The reality for this particular ensemble is continuing to just slap them in the face, and yet they just continue a lot of those behaviors. I found Hannah's arc in this particular episode difficult to watch, but in a good way, I think, in a lot of ways. She's here in Iowa and she's doing what she wants to do, but she tells Elijah kind of later in the episode that she is not even sure that she wants to be a writer, and I thought that was quite a statement for her. But that happens, when you really have a dream and you're so focused on it, sometimes you're going to question whether or not you really want it or not. And I'm not sure if she's willing to put in the agony and the sacrifice and the work that it takes to be a true artist and a true writer. And of course, she takes her lack of success and her lack of productivity out on her classmates, as she does, because Hannah is very immature. And again, in a lot of the conversations and scenes you see in the show, there are multifaceted conversations. And this one, I think there's definite truth in what she's saying about these kind of pseudo-intellectual artists and writers that she's talking to, but there's so much animosity that's coming from her and a lot of jealousy, and it makes her seem all the more insecure and pathetic to a large degree. And again, here we're seeing her take out her issues on other people when she should be focusing inward. And I think we saw a lot of this in Jessa as well, in her story arc. She has found a friend in Adam through AA, which is kind of interesting, came out of nowhere it seems, or it could turn out to be something more interesting. We'll see about that. But as I said earlier, I think I said it in the first episode when I did my recap for that one, that she just has a habit of spiraling downward if she doesn't have that love in her life. She's very needy, and she's just this cyclone of self-destructive behavior, and unfortunately a lot of the people in her life kind of get caught up in that cyclone, and it just causes everything to be a mess. And I think Adam was really extraordinary in this episode, that he told her that she's very immature and that she needs to grow up, and even though she may be sober, she hasn't really changed that much. And I know she's had lectures like that in the past from different people in other seasons, but for some reason this one really hit home for her, because she has a certain bond with Adam that I'm not sure, it's definitely not developed yet. Hopefully it will be. So when she told him that she really needs a friend and she really needs companionship, I actually do think it was a very genuine thing for her to say, and in a way, I think that was actually progress for her to actually admit something like that, because typically she's very aloof and she's very guarded, and she seems like she doesn't need help for anyone. So the fact that she was admitting that was kind of amazing. And I think Shoshana had one of the best moments in the show of this episode. It was just really funny when she does the job interview, and it just spoke volumes about her as a person, and you just see how things are going to be so difficult for her in this life unless she really learns to kind of adapt. And I think a lot of people, postgraduate students, or people that were students and then graduated, I think they have a lot of those problems, particularly people that are very privileged. She gets offered this job, which seems to be great, and she decides she doesn't want to take it because, she's waiting for her dream job. And, while I definitely admire her ambition and her, her need to have fulfillment in her life, she's got to learn that that's just not realistic, especially right away. Very rarely do people actually get their dream jobs immediately after college. Sometimes you have to pay your bills and work up to the things that you want. And this is another example of a character in the show that is experiencing reality and not really being able to come to terms with it. And then I'm saving Marnie for last, not because she's the best and I'm saving the best for last, but really just because she drives me nuts. She drives me nuts as a character. And I just don't like talking about her. I said this, I think, in my very first recap of episode 1, that she is a character who I actually found very interesting in the first season, because she not only, I mean, she had flaws, but she also had things about her that made her strong. And I mean, she had different facets, but I feel like she is just falling down this hole of being one-dimensional in terms of how irredeemable she is, and it just keeps going with this character. I mean, with this, as the show progresses. She is one of the most selfish and manipulative people in the entire show, and if you watch the show, you know that is an extremely disturbing statement. She makes a statement in this episode where she says, "I know what I want," and she does not know what she wants. I really doubt that highly. I mean, she does not love Desi. I don't think she's loved anybody that she's been romantically linked to in the entire show. I think she loves the idea of these people and what they could mean in terms of maybe status or a certain kind of foundation of maybe husband and wife, that sort of thing. She just wants acceptance so badly from people. We see her, I mean, she threw herself at Ray the moment that he complimented her, which, you know, proves how self-absorbed she is, but also how needy she is. She wants to be complimented. She wants to be told that she's wonderful, because I think that her self-esteem is not very high, and she wants that stable foundation, as I said, in a relationship with Desi, and she's just not getting that because he's, you know, kind of a coward, as Ray put it. And until she gets her head out of her ass and starts to learn to love others and to let things happen and be accepting of life and how things happen, that's just, I mean, she's never going to find happiness. And yet I can't quite write her off as a character, because, I mean, what is an allegory, you know, a story, whatever, and the characters in that story, if they're not projections of who we are? And we see ourselves in these characters, and I sometimes have the thoughts that she has, and I think we all do. We just don't want to admit it. And as I said in the first recap that I did, she is a character, all the despicable, embarrassing, pathetic things that are in us that we hate to admit, that's her magnified. So yeah, she does not know what she wants, neither do any of these characters, and neither do many human beings. So that is the running theme in this episode, is confronting reality and not being able to really grow from it or understand it. So anyway, yeah, I'm liking the way that the show is kind of getting better and better so far. So yeah, that's my recap. So I will see you all for episode 4 next week. And if you'd like to follow me on Twitter, the link is below. And you can also like my Facebook page as well below that. And catch you next time.